Well, happy holidays. This is Devon Head, and this is our final session on leaving the path of resentment or exiting the path of resentment, whichever you like to call it. And happy holidays to you once again. And today is December 25th. You know what? I want to go back and talk about a few things here as we close out our session. Number one, I want to thank you for those of you who have watched on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. And if you are on YouTube sometime, give me a like or a subscribe. I could use a few more subscribers. Thank you. And also those of you who made comments over the past few sessions on Facebook, I want to thank you also for that. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's move forward. So I remember some time ago, and I used to run at a track on the west side. And I remember that a couple of times I saw a guy that looked like he's about 6'4", kind of heavy set guy. And one day we struck up a conversation, I think, as I completed my running near where he was completing his at. And he told me that he had a new lease on life. And I said, oh, how so? Well, he told me at one time he weighed 300 pounds plus, like he was about 6'4" to me. And he told me that his doctor had told him had he not made some kind of adjustments or make healthier life choices for himself, that his health was going to really deteriorate rapidly because of his weight. And maybe there's some other factors. I think he used to smoke. I don't remember exactly what he said. But the point is, though, he said that upon hearing that, he immediately started walking first. He started taking steps, walking at a track. And then he would try to trot a little bit, and he said he would get tired and out of breath. And then he would come back, maybe a few days later, he would start walking. Then he would trot a little bit and get out of breath. But he kept doing this. He kept doing this. Now, I remember the two times I seen him there, looked like he had a pretty decent pace, for his size and weight. But at one time, he was 300 plus pounds. And he told me at the time when I met him that he was down to 240 pounds. So that's pretty good. And the key thing it was for him, he said he was not going to stop and give up. So he lost over 60 pounds. And so, see, that's a lesson for all of us about not giving up. So once we have gone through all the steps through our introduction, session 1, 2, and 3, and now we've come out of this tunnel, and now we are exposed, and we should now be considering doing things that we may have felt held back from because of what we've been wrestling with. We want to move forward. So actually now's the time to start thinking and plotting, what are we going to do now that we can put our whole energy and soul into that we may have been putting off. I remember recently seeing a movie called, real recent actually, Brian Banks. The movie about Brian Banks. And I remember seeing him on TV and on YouTube, but I actually saw a movie of it now, of him, and I could really see in great detail what he had went through. And one of the underlying themes throughout that movie is perseverance, that he did not give up. He was endeavoring to get himself exonerated. He was on probation. He had been listed as a sex offender. And to come to find out that the victim in this story had said that she actually had recanted her story. She was not a victim. And so that changed the dynamics. But it took a while for it to change. But the thing about it is he didn't give up. The gentleman that I mentioned to you a few minutes ago, who was a runner, although he felt like it, he didn't give up. He willed himself to the point to where he was able to lose 60 pounds, and he was feeling better. He said he had more energy, and that's good. Same story with Brian Banks. Although we can feel down, we can be flat on our back, but at some point we have this inner strength, this God-given inner strength that will help us get up and take a step forward. It's like a reserve energy that we have. And sometimes when we are really pushed, it's amazing at what we are able to come out and do. I know at times I've seen boxing matches or maybe some other type of athletic endeavor, but mostly in boxing matches where I've seen someone who's cornered and the person is punching on them, hitting on them, and some or another they're determined, they come out swinging and fight off their particular opponent. So there's like an inner strength, a resolve, and a drive in us. When we tap into it, we're able to come out swinging and push back and try to reposition ourselves. So also I want you to take a look at Eva Kor. Eva Kor was a Holocaust survivor that I mentioned a couple years ago. And I just found out earlier today that she died earlier this year. But that is a very compelling story for anyone who has suffered through tragedy loss of a loved one. And she lost her parents and I believe two older sisters. She had a twin sister who survived the Auschwitz, actually. And that's a story that will inspire you if you've been through something, to look at that and see what she came through. And she shared her story on how she was able to forgive her captors, and also the fact that she never saw her parents and her two older sisters again at that extermination camp or death camp. Also, we want to talk about transformation. I want to mention you. This movie is old. The movie was called Dances with Wolves, and this is what's been happening to us as we have gone through this process. Now, some of us may take longer, but there is a transformation that's occurring as we endeavor to let go of the old and now embrace the new ideas, new ways of thinking about how we want to live. We're listening and subjecting our mind to positive things, what we're viewing, what we're watching, what we are meditating on, so that we can bring about change and also change our perspective on life and how we're viewing life and how we want to live life. So that movie, Dances with Wolves, the main character's name was Lieutenant John Dunbar. And although this movie is old, it's a good movie to look at, to watch, and his transformation and adaptation. And I guess when we are going through transformation, there is an adaptability. Once again, going back to boxing, seeing certain boxers that I've seen who've been able to adapt and change and adjust in the midst of the storm, while they're getting maybe they're losing a few rounds, and they're able to figure out, okay, I need to adapt and overcome, because this person's, I'm losing the fight. I need to do something. And they're listening to their corner men telling them what they need to do, and they need to go out and implement it. So once again, remember, we have inner strength, God-given inner strength. We have this reserve energy that will help push us through, to give us that extra push to push through. So we want to look at those things as we close out. And I want to encourage you and also thank you for watching. And I have some other interesting topics to come up on that I want to share. And having said all that, have a really good day. Enjoy your day today. And I hope this workshop, Leaving the Path of Resentment, has been helpful for you. And I do pray for anyone that has watched this, that God will help you, restore you, and will help heal your heart as you move forward in your life. Okay, so God bless. Have a good day. And thank you very much for watching.